As we said today, we're going to kind of have a diverse panel. We're going to do everything from talking about COVID to talking about other issues. So we're going to switch over now to Candace Strauss with the Big Sky Chamber of Commerce. She's the CEO of the Big Sky Chamber of Commerce and also runs our Visit Big Sky. Candace, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Eric.
Wonderful. I'd like to spend a little bit of time just getting your kind of insight and advice for especially our small business leaders of the community and people that are going through this from the business perspective. Any updates on financial aid or any of the processes that you can help distill down for our small business owners in Big Sky?
Absolutely. And hopefully many of them got some clarity just like we did at the Big Sky Chamber today. I will just say that leading up to Friday, where our president just signed the third phase of the coronavirus relief packages that have been coming down the line, it's been complete and utter chaos with the political process in Washington, D.C. between the House and the Senate. So trying to kind of nail down any of those details of those federal aid packages was just not a worthwhile endeavor. However, the president did sign on Friday afternoon, on March 27th, the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act. It's called the CARES Act. And as I mentioned, that was the third phase of economic relief coming for our small businesses as well as individuals. So we'd just like to walk through that a little bit. We offered a webinar this morning, which is recorded, and we will be sharing out via your channels after this for anyone who missed it, from the National Federation of Independent Businesses, which is a membership organization just like the Big Sky Chamber, but really deals with an average member size of only 10 employees, which we see a lot of that in Big Sky. So on March 6th, we saw the first phase of COVID relief coming through the Coronavirus Preparedness and Response Supplement Appropriations Act. Well, I'll say that one fast 5 times. That is what instituted the Small Business Administration Economic Injury Disaster Loans. And that is available to businesses under 500 employees. There are a lot of details with each one of these aid programs, and I don't want to use this forum for that. The PowerPoint that we will share out afterward has all of those specifics, but it required disaster designation from the governor on the state level, which all 50 states and the District of Columbia have now received, and so are all eligible to receive these funds. It is being run through the SBA, and it's an online application process, and I don't want to say simple, but for all intents and purposes, not overly complicated. The second phase of relief came from the Families First Coronavirus Response Act, or the FFCRA. That was enacted into law on March 18th. It provided the paid sick leave and family medical leave mandates, along with payroll tax credits and unemployment insurance assistance. Again, we as the Big Sky Chamber are not trying to position ourselves as experts either in the tax arena or the human resources arena. A lot of these are very specific to laws, and we're just trying to make sure that we're providing a conduit to the experts to provide that to our businesses. But again, the PowerPoint goes into who's eligible, what that looks like, how to file for it, when it pertains to. Each has different timelines. And then how you receive those funds. Excellent. The one on Friday was the biggest one. It provides for a paycheck protection program with forgivable loans, tax relief, and unemployment expansion. And so all three of these things combined, I think, will help our small businesses greatly. There's relief, and like I said, many are forgivable for payroll, for rent or mortgage if you own rather than are leasing. For some immediate expenses related to debt. And so really going to help take care of a lot of our small businesses in Big Sky. Excellent.
Well, thanks for helping distill the 900 pages. It's appreciated. I know that's a little early to say, but thus far, how have the businesses been faring during this shutdown? And I think a subsection to that is from your lodging partners, I think are particularly hit very hard. Are we getting any insight to, are they already seeing impact that's going to drift into the spring and summer?
Well, to answer the first part of your question, I think what we've seen from our businesses in Big Sky is that everyone has rallied together to support our community, as you led off with our session today. Hashtag Stay Strong has been circulating around the community about how we as Big Sky have many times before seen hard economic times fall on us and have come out stronger on the other side from them. So I want to applaud a lot of our frontline workers that are at Big Sky Medical Center, as well as the fire department and sheriff's department. But we have to also look at our retailers and restaurants who, in light of a dine-in ban through April 17th, are still continuing to serve us. So we're doing takeout Thursdays, we're doing frontline worker Fridays to just try to promote that among community members and show support of those businesses trying to stay open for us. So Roxy's, Country Market, as well as Hungry Moose are all continuing to serve us, and we can't thank them enough that we don't have to make the drive to Bozeman to get our much needed food and other supplies. With respect to the lodging partners, the forced closure of Big Sky Resort on Monday, March 16th was quite traumatic for our destination. That was followed by the lodge at Big Sky closing on March 22nd, which is when the resort's lodging fully closed. That cascaded into Lone Mountain Ranch closing. And so really we're looking at a lot of our property managed companies still having units available, in addition to the Wilson Residence Inn by Marriott and Rainbow Ranch. However, it is pretty minimal, around 10% in occupancy. And as we look into April and May, that's not really coming up from that. I would put a caveat that this is our shoulder season. As the resort would have closed on April 19th, we do see visitation in the month of May and really until the first week of June, not anywhere near rival where we are during the winter. The park, Yellowstone National Park itself, has closed for an unforeseeable time frame, and we are tracking that very closely as well. The normal timeline on them reopening is April 17th with some bike access and then vehicular traffic as we lead into summer. And so we're hoping that some normalcy will be established there on that timeline of reopening, because we do see roughly 30% of our visitors to Big Sky do make trips to Yellowstone Park.
Gotcha.
The largest segment really impacted for early spring is that May month, and that is our international group travel, that Asian traveler. My motor coach partners, for example, Carr Stage, have been just dealt a blow like you would not believe. And some of the more traditional lodging partners, like the Lodge at Big Sky, as well as previously Bucks, had a lot of foundational business of spring and leading into summer with that segment. So that has just completely gone away.
Yeah. One last question, and I'll throw it over to Joe. Has the Chamber and Visit Big Sky begun to develop any campaigns or special plans to help put some gas back in the tank come summertime, or when we project that we might be able to?
Absolutely. Yes, because we are going to have to hit that go button. So National Travel and Tourism Week is May 3rd through the 9th. And that's a time when nationally across the country, we all band together to just try to help individuals understand the importance and the impact of the visitor economy on their lives. And I think, unfortunately, it's being demonstrated right now in a not so positive way. So we, in light of that, are hoping to convene the community on May 8th, which normally has been our annual marketing outlook luncheon, to talk about or have more plans of what we feel we will be doing moving forward. The Montana Office of Tourism Business Development, our Yellowstone Country Tourism Region, and our fellow 6 CVBs that are Belgrade, Bozeman, Livingston, Gardner, West Yellowstone, ourselves, are all working together, most likely going to be putting out co-op programs so that our dollars that we do have, which are going to be dramatically impacted downward with lack of bed tax collections, as well as lack of resort tax collections from the lack of lodging, to pool those monies so that we have bigger bang for our buck to bring people back to our region.
Excellent. Well, that's
Eric, one last thing, is I have had numerous people ask me, are we continuing to market right now? And we're not. The messaging that we are putting out is visit Big Sky later, come live the dream, but keep the dream alive for future travel plans. And National Travel and Tourism Week had been focused on the fact that tourism matters. However, the theme is being changed in light of COVID-19 and will be unveiled here in the next week. So we'll be sure to share that information too, so that everyone can support that effort.
excellent. All right, thank you. Joe, anything from your end?
Yeah, we do have a couple questions coming in. I've got a few myself, but this one comes from Joe. Not this Joe, different Joe. With video communication, Candace, being so critical, in the worldwide right now, are there any discussions on getting quicker bandwidth or 5G in Big Sky? Any information that you can share?
Sure. The Big Sky Chamber actually in its FY20 allocation received monies for a telecommunications study. That task force that was put together to address that issue identified our cell service is actually a much greater need than our fiber. Three Rivers, and as our internet provider, has been a terrific partner in that process. However, really cell service is a confusing issue that people don't recognize. It's not necessarily the fiber, it's the cell. And we are working with a provider on giving us a study back related to that to hopefully augment that service moving forward. I have seen some talk on the national level as well in how this has really pointed out the shortcomings in the rural broadband network across the United States. And it does look like that there are some agencies that are working to get some funding for that in light of what we're seeing going on here, that these GoToMeeting, Zoom, Skype, et cetera, that there has been some negative impact with respect to the networks not being able to handle all the traffic on them.
Got it. Got it. Thank you. Last one here. There are a number of reports that people from cities are locating in mountain towns, and a number of these mountain towns in the West are essentially shutting their doors to outside visitation at this time. Are there any talks of limitations going forward in Big Sky, or any evidence that that could happen?
There aren't any talks locally. I have seen a handful of articles, as you mentioned. The New York Times ran some locally in the state of Montana. I actually spoke to two different reporters today related to, are people fleeing to Montana and to Big Sky? And the answer is no, they're not. In reaching out to my property management companies today, or over the last 3 days, actually, what we're seeing is we have some owners who have come to stay in their units, but not a huge amount, like a handful roughly. We have a few sets of guests who arrived before the March 16th, kind of when the switch was flipped, who have decided to extend their stays due to travel restrictions. But really our occupancies are very, very low. I did just see that our governor just announced that anyone coming in from another county or another state will have to self-quarantine for 14 days. So I'm sure that's going to have an impact in disincentivizing any travel. But at the moment, no, we have no discussion of saying, if you were coming, you can't come. So
got it. Got it. Well, thanks so much, Candace. Appreciate that. Back to you, Eric.
Thank you. Thank you, Candace.
Thank you.
Appreciate everything you guys are doing at both those entities.